Print live. It has been a great day as far as India's defense establishment is concerned because we've gone ahead and carried out a successful anti-satellite missile test. Well, yes, the India had developed this capability actually during the UPA rule itself, but however, as the former DRDO chief Avinash Chandra told me, the taste of the pudding lies in eating it. And while the UPA government did not go in for an actual test of the capability, the Modi government gave the all go ahead, and earlier today a successful test was carried out. And but however, the question that many are asking, and the one that we are asking, is India's focus on anti-satellite missiles instead of its under-equipped military misplaced? Well, the answer to that is the fact that no, it is not misplaced. You cannot compare. For example, I've been speaking to people and they've been telling me that India can't manufacture, a single proper assault rifle. It has to import, whereas it is going and is spending so much of money on anti-satellite missiles and such technology. So, as these are two different issues. Both cannot be compared to each other at all. Both are important issues. Yes, it's a sad state of affairs that India, as one of the biggest, which has one of the biggest military in the world, cannot manufacture its own assault rifles, and we have to depend on foreign countries for it. And you'll be surprised that one of the country which has been shortlisted to supply carbines for India is UAE. So yes, but at the same time, it is also wrong to assume or to think that the technological leap that we have taken in when it comes to missiles and anti-satellite missiles. So those are two different things. Both are important. It's a great thing that India has developed this capability. Remember that India now joins an elite group of just three other countries, US, Russia and China, which had this capability. In future wars, satellites will continue to play a very important role. For example, when we talk about today's March 27th, a day and a month ago, that is on the February 26th, India carried out the Balakot strike in Balakot in Pakistan's Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province, and it was about a group of 5 Mirages that entered the Pakistan occupied Kashmir and carried out this attack. All the 5 Mirages were talking to each other through satellite. So yes, satellite does play a very important role, and in case of a war, one doesn't know when a satellite needs to be taken out to render the enemy completely helpless. So I'll be answering your questions. So please do send in your questions on our YouTube channel as well as on Twitter, and I'll try and answer as many questions as possible. I've got a question coming in from Sumonto Kakati. Sir, what's up to India's indigenous capability to prevent enemy ballistic missile? Well, the ballistic missile defense that is an ongoing project. Today's anti-satellite missile is actually in layman's term, you can call it an offshoot or a spin-off of the ballistic defense missile system itself. It's an ongoing project. Remember that it was in the mid 2000 when we got the swordfish radar, and if you log into www.theprint.in, you'll be able to read this particular story on today's missile test, in which I've explained how this whole program came into being. So as I was mentioning, it was in mid 2000 when India got the swordfish radar. Now this is a derivative of a radar which is in use with Israel, but the swordfish uses a lot of Indian systems. So when the swordfish was being used by the DRDO as part of the ballistic defense missile system, that's when they realized that this radar is an extremely powerful radar. It could actually track satellites up to 600 kilometers. That was the range of this particular, and hence in 2007 when China carried out its maiden anti-satellite missile test, the DRDO went to the government and said that, boss, we can actually do the same, and at that time, a decision was made to put it on the slow burn and focus more on the ballistic missile defense system. And so, yes, there's a lot of indigenous development that has gone into the system, if that's what you're asking. But at the same time, a lot of help is also from technology that has been procured from friendly countries. The other question, that is, what's the current development status of the hypersonic missile Brahmos 2? Well, the Brahmos is an Indo-Russia joint venture. It's the newer version of the Brahmos is already in the making. You will have the trials. Taking place very soon. So yes, I can't give you a specific timeline as far as the Brahmos missile is concerned, but yes, it's a work in progress. You also have the Brahmos NG, and if all goes well, you will have it's an air-to-air. It's meant for the Air Force, and if all goes well, you will have the Brahmos AG NG on the LCA Tejas Mark II. Well, another question is, how many countries have Space Command? Well, I'm not really sure. I'll have to check whether how many countries really have Space Command. But remember that only 3 countries. Even we had a Space Command. We also have a Space Command. But it's today only when we proved our capability. So only 3 countries have this particular capability to target satellites obviously in the space, and India is now the 4th country to have such a capability. Why India is so late in this innovation? When US did it in 1955 and China in 2007, and can we see this launch as only our increased defense capability? Well, of course, the US did it many years ago, and China did it in 2007, as I mentioned earlier while replying to another question. The capability for this particular missile was developed during the UPA regime itself. The DRDO, had realized you have a ballistic missile defense system that is being worked upon, and it's basically a tweaking, or let's say an offshoot of this particular system. So while the capability was always existed as far as India is concerned, but the testing took place today. As someone told me, the taste of the pudding lies in eating, and hence, while of course we had the capability, but only a test could have actually proved whether those systems, those avionics, those things that went into that particular system really works or not. I have a question coming in from Rahul asking, why did we carry out the test today? Well, there is of course a whole lot of political discussion that is taking place over this particular test which happened today. It comes less than few weeks away from the actual voting taking place. So, while I'll not get into the political aspect of it, but I can tell you that, this particular project was in the works. And at the end of the day, it's a government which takes a decision on when to carry out such tests. And the Narendra Modi government took the decision to carry out the test today. Ideally, if you would say, the test could have actually waited for the elections to be over. Well, I have another question coming in from, how will the man on the street understand the strategic importance of ASAT? That is by Priya Pandit. I think, the man on the street would, I'm not sure whether how a man on the street would understand the strategic importance of an ASAT, but the fact of the matter is that every single country in the world has noticed today's development. Be it China, be it the US, be it Russia, or be it even Pakistan, or be it any country in the African continent, or be it Maldives for that matter. Every country has taken notice of the fact that India has now joined this elite group, and India has the capability to take out satellites in the space. But I'm not really sure how would a common man on the street look at it. But I'm sure that most of these viewers who are watching this particular show are aware of the fact that satellites play a very crucial role in modern warfare technology and warfare methods, and hence having the capability to shoot down an enemy satellite. It could be a communication satellite, it could be any kind of satellite that we feel needs to be taken out to ensure that the enemy is rendered helpless. I have a question coming in from Swapnil, who's asking, will India progress on Agni 6 or will it limit itself with the Agni 5 and work on its improvement? Well, as I said earlier, these are works or these are projects which are in progress. The Agni 5 is also a work in progress. You will soon see it being inducted into the the Strategic Forces Command. But yes, there would be improvements that takes place all the time. So yes, whenever distances, whenever, for example, Agni 5 has a capability of reaching about 5,000 kilometers. Now, as and when there are improvements that happen, and with better warheads that are used, with better radar systems that come into play, yes. So you will have, I believe that you will have more of the Agni versions coming out. Well, another question that is coming out is, will opposition again question the authenticity of this? Well, I don't see the opposition questioning the authenticity of it. The opposition leaders were quick enough to go ahead and tweet congratulating the DRDO, but there would be a different politics that would be played over this. As I said earlier, India always had the capability of launching anti-satellite missile. This capability was realized and worked upon during the UPA regime. However, there was no actual test that took place. One of the reasons that I was speaking to many individuals in the defense establishment, and they say that one of the reasons could have been the fact that when China carried out its test in 2007, it came under a lot of criticism from across the world. Probably at that time, the idea was to ensure that this project works slowly, but the project kept going on. And after the Narendra Modi government came in, they went ahead and gave the green signal to carry out a test, and which has been done today. So yes, this is a major victory. So, and I also expect a lot of politics to be played around this particular issue altogether. What will be the international reaction to this? Well, one is not really sure what will be the international reaction to this. There would be a lot of questions that would be raised. There would be statements that would be issued. We're expecting statements to be issued by various countries. Some would be welcoming India, this particular step that India has taken. Some would also be critical of it. I'll go back to 2007 when China carried out its first and only anti-satellite missile test. The country came under heavy criticism from across the world. Countries criticized it for going ahead and indulging in an arms race in outer space. Also, remember that there was criticism of the fact that a satellite was destroyed in the orbit. The pieces of the satellite, the debris stays in for a much longer time. Well, another question that has been asked is, what are the real points and achievements? How will it affect the common man? Are we more safe or more proud, or both? Well, how does it affect the common man? It doesn't really affect the common man in day-to-day life. But to the question, are we more safe or more proud, or both? Well, the answer is that, of course, it's both. We as a country would be much more safer in case there is a war. And also for the fact that we need to be proud of the fact that India has now joined this exclusive club of US, Russia and China, which had this particular capability. And now India has gone ahead and joined this elite club. So hence it's a matter of something to be really proud about. Well, another question that has been asked is, did India, well, this is something that I've already answered. The question that was asked by a person called Pandit was whether whether this is a successful test or not. Well, the government has gone ahead and come on record to say that this is a successful test. I have no inputs to suggest otherwise, and hence I would believe what the government has said and consider it to be a successful test. Thank you so much for sending in your questions. Do log in and join us tomorrow, where one of my colleagues would be answering the questions on the most raging subject